The Golden Knights get shut out 3-0 by the Kraken in the annual Winter Classic in Seattle. And it's back to business this week for VGK as they've got a fight on their hands in the Pacific Division. We'll talk about that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel, please. We are brought to you today by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and make sure that you do that because you will use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. So, Chris Golick, Golden Knights got tossed around yesterday like fish at Pike Place in that loss yesterday in the Winter Classic in Seattle, falling 3-0, first shutout ever in the Classic in history to the Kraken. This was a lackluster performance by VGK and another difficult game for Logan Thompson in that. LT led up at least a couple of soft goals. The worst of the day was when Paul Cotter got his pocket picked and then Yanni Gourde put the puck on net. And there was a major LT whiff, and then the follow-up was into the net. The best VGK scoring chance of the day was when Jack Eichel tried to go 5-hole on Joey Daccord, who played very well, but he was stoned there. Cassidy said afterward, he said something that, again, you just fill in the blanks here, right? He said that the Golden Knights defense wasn't leaky. So there's only one place to point, and that, of course, was toward LT.
So starting on the defense, just a stat that I picked up. I was looking at the game log. I saw Pietrangelo was a -2 last night. And
I keep telling you, man, I don't think he's playing well. And people are saying he's doing so well. I don't think he's playing well.
I mean, there's two walks of life here as far as this stat goes. So plus minus, if you're on the ice when your team scores, you get a plus. If you're on the ice when the other team scores, you get a minus. Special teams don't factor in as much to that. So that's the short version of that. In the last 10 games, Pietrangelo has been on the minus side 7 times. That's your number one defenseman, folks, who's chewing up 23, 25, 26, 23, 24, 23, 22, 26, 23, 25, 24. He's playing 35% of the games right now. And plus minus, it's a bit of a skewed stat. We're not going to get too deep into it, but it's a stat that does matter. So, yeah, the defense wasn't overly leaky. There was that terrible breakdown by Cotter. Poop happens, and that's what you're going to say about that one. The second goal, I think, is the one that really just hurt, right? The puck is on edge. It's tough to save an 80-mile-an-hour slap shot. I don't care what the situation is, but when the puck is on edge, sure, you got that knuckle puck thing happening, but they got right under Logan Thompson's armpit. That's just not a good look, unfortunately. And, I'm a Logan Thompson truther. I'm still a Logan Thompson truther, but it's hard to defend the totality of what's happening with him right now. And, it's a tough thing for him to fix. He's wanted to be the man. Every goalie wants to be the man. They want to be the star. They don't want to share the net. They're good team players and everything. But at the end of the day, Logan Thompson is getting what he wants. He's got the starter's net. And, I mean, Aiden Hill, we know he has the ability at least to put a pair of skates on. He did on Sunday before the Winter Classic and the team picture and everything. So Aiden Hill might be a little closer to coming back. Golden Knight fans are cheering hysterically as I say that right now. But Logan needs to improve, and it really needs to, and it needed to happen 5 games ago, but it really needs to start Thursday against the Panthers.
Yeah, I feel as though there is a mental toll that is taking place for Logan Thompson. I just think
If he goes on
mentally,
Twitter or Facebook, absolutely. Jesus.
yeah, I think mentally he's really a little bit down. Even after he gave up a goal, he just, again, the head is down and the body language shows a lot.
Look at his press conference, Tony, the one against the Kings. He's the hero of the day that game. He has a great game. The dude literally sat in his stall the whole time like this, taking
I know.
questions. If you're
I took your
for those on
question.
audio, I put my hat forward and covered my face, and that's what Logan did. And it could be a strange thing. The media is weird. I get athletes handle that differently, but I've talked to Logan Thompson, not with a camera on. Dude is so humble, down to earth, a wonderful conversation. But just I don't know. There's something going on there, as Tony said. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, it's fine. Exactly. And Cassidy said afterward that the Golden Knights defense, again, was not leaky. And he pointed towards the goaltending. So there are some issues there.
Yeah.
And Cassidy also said for this environment, VGK didn't have enough intensity.
Nope.
They didn't have enough sense of urgency.
Nope.
Seattle's forecheck was pretty good in that first period.
Yep.
They looked like it was exhibition hockey, though, for the Vegas Golden Knights. There's just
exhibition
no effort.
hockey's perfect, Tony. Exhibition hockey. That's exactly what I'm putting in one of my articles that I'm writing today. They look like a preseason team today.
Yeah,
yesterday.
and let's point out that the ice conditions were not very good. They were sticky, and both teams said that you need to take time and be more patient and slow things down.
Keyword both teams.
TNT called it the conditions course there, and the puck we saw it wasn't moving as well. Oh, there's so many good excuses here. Distractions.
Cassidy didn't bring up one excuse in the post game. I will give
No.
Cassidy
I'll give him
that.
no. He was really good in the post game.
Yeah.
He just kind of wrote off the game. But the Wags were on this trip, man.
Oh God,
I can't imagine. There were probably still honeydew lists up there in Seattle for the VGK.
I mean, it's a weird game. We'll talk a little more about the
families
elements.
were there. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about the elements.
That's not a
and stuff
distraction.
in the second
Okay.
game. No, definitely. It's a lot of things. There's a lot of things happening there, and that's why it's the Winter Classic. It's a different game than everything else. But the urgency, like that's definitely the team was in first gear the entire time. And it's deflating, right? I mean, all three of the goals for the Kraken came under 5 minutes into each of the periods.
I was just going to talk about that. Wow.
I gotcha. Yes. So that's the tough part. It's deflating. And there were pockets, especially in the first and second period, where the Golden Knights were finding their game. They were getting some sustained pressure. The puck was staying in the offensive zone a little bit, but it just didn't last. And the Kraken played a good enough game to win. Like the Kraken will give them full credit and everything, but as bad as the game was on the scoreboard and everything, the Golden Knights had hit iron twice, right? Mark Stone on the deflection, Jack Eichel in the third period, and then Eichel has that little mini breakaway opportunity. A couple other high danger chances, not many. The Golden Knights only had, according to Natural Stat Trick, they only had, and this is even 5-on-5, 5 high danger chances to the Kraken's 14. So the fact that it was only 3-0 tells you something. But going back to my point here, if one of those puck that hits the net or the crossbar goes in, if Eichel converts on that breakaway, or if something else, just somehow the puck finds the back of the nets, there was a path to stealing a point or two in this game. Like the game was not out of reach. Obviously, the third period was different, but as bad as the Golden Knights played, as not great as the Seattle Kraken played, the Golden Knights were in this game really for most of it, despite what the score said. So if there's a positive, that's what I'll take away from this carnival game. Speaking of carnival, Tony, what carnival did they peel Sir Mix-a-Lot and Hart out of? Like seriously, that was horrendous. Especially
Hart was so bad. Wayne Gretzky is absolutely tone deaf if he's saying that was a terrific performance.
I don't understand. Like, okay, fine. Pearl Jam might be a little more expensive. Okay, Foo Fighters might be a little more expensive. Jerry Cantrell and the remainder of Alice in Chains might be a little more expensive. Give me a garage band. Like, give me anything but what they did.
Give me some grunge. give me some
Did you
grunt.
see the look on the Golden Knights when Sir Mix-a-Lot was performing as they walked out?
It was pretty funny.
Remember Ivan Drago in Rocky IV when they're bringing him up and James Brown is singing "Coming to America"? That's what the Golden Knights were watching Sir Mix-a-Lot. That was like, this is the NHL. This is their moment. This is the biggest game of the season. They whiffed. I'll rant and I'll stop talking. But the NHL didn't do themselves any favors by having the Golden Knights and the Kraken as the feature game number one. Yes, we enjoyed it here in the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest and everything, but all of North America hates these two teams. That's number one. And number two, just the sideshow and stuff. I don't know, whatever. I was not a fan of a lot of things that happened.
I think
besides the score.
I think instead of a dance line, you should have the fishermen there throwing fish, where they almost hit a couple players too on that entrance that you were talking about there.
That actually would have been kind of cool. Like, I don't know. There were a lot of things they could have done better that game.
So, again, those goals came early. First one at 4:50 of the first period. The Will Borgen goal, that was his first goal in 43 games at 2:19 of the second. And then Yanni Gourde at 2:10 of the third. These early goals, VGK wasn't prepared to come out early and to take over a game. Let's face it.
I'm with you, but I'm not going to measure it based off of those goals because I'm going to put both those on Logan Thompson, unfortunately. But they weren't ready from a totality perspective in this game, just like they weren't ready against the Ducks in other games recently. And this is, could be a concern. Could be a concern.
It definitely could.
In the Central or the Pacific, 5 teams now. All of a sudden, could be a 5-horse race for the Pacific.
Yeah, it is getting really, really tight. We'll talk about that, of course, in the upcoming week. And VGK now, I thought that they would be a different team after it looked as though they were coasting and running away. And now everyone is breathing down on the Golden Knights, who came out dressed as Elvis yesterday. As soon as I saw the fisherman look for Seattle. Now, did Cassidy say something about they wanted to dress like Major League Baseball players in one interview, but there was a lot of things they had to go through? I don't know.
They did mention there was stuff to go through. I don't know if it was related to that. That would have been kind of, I don't know.
Get a lot of permissions. Were they going to be the A's?
Well, oh God.
Oh man.
Oh, Tony, that's good. Oh, I might find a way to clip that. Oh, that would have been. Could you imagine if they would have done that? Oh my God,
that would have been great.
They
definitely would have thrown the fish at VGK.
I would have felt so much better about this game if they would have came dressed as the Athletics.
Coming up next, did the Winter Classic game matter, or was it gimmicky? And should fans not be upset about a loss there in this game? We'll get to that when we return right here on Locked On Golden A's. Locked On Golden Knights.
That's good. That's also good.
Gametime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. And even an hour after it starts, it's the place to find last-minute seats. You could find exclusive flash deals and sponsor deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and much, much more. And the Gametime guarantee, well, that means that you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets, folks. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use the redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Gametime. Again, download it today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back. Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We appreciate that. Fridays, WTF with the Friday. And on Saturday, it's the Chris times Chris show, the YouTube exclusive.
Chris was on fire last show. They talked about puck management and stuff. And he had a really good show, by the way.
Every show is great for that guy. He's a superstar. Are you kidding me? I'm a little bit hoarse today. I was a dirty stay out over the weekend, so I had fun. I went to the Gwen Stefani show. You saw those
Yeah,
photos.
that was pretty cool. I saw that saw those surfacing around the interwebs.
Yeah, just up close. Great party over there at the Wynn, and thanks to the the Stefani family, for the invitation. Appreciate that.
Listen, look at Tony dropping that.
I
Tony
dropped
knows
it.
Tony knows her third cousin twice removed, that person's brother-in-law or something. Don't kid yourself.
Exactly. And then, as if we had enough, I was right in the middle of the chain smokers, man. And when they dropped Dancing Queen, I started throwing stuff, man. I picked up confetti from down on the floor. People were making it rain. I threw dollars around. Just havoc, man. So
Tony
happy New Year.
Tony was doing the ninja stuff and all that while it played.
The ninja stuff. Oh, we're talking about hockey here.
Whatever.
Okay. And the Oakland Vegas.
The segment matters as much as the game did.
Yeah, what mattered more, this segment right now or the game? So the Golden Knights and the Kraken, they played in that first Winter Classic. A lot of distractions for sure for the players. Should VGK just move on from this loss?
Yeah.
Did they learn anything? Did we learn anything about this team in their quest for the Cup repeat?
The Golden Knights could have won this game 5-0, could have lost 4-3, whatever. Yes, the game matters on the standings. Yes, the Golden Knights could use those 2 points for all those people who are throwing things right now and thinking I'm an idiot for saying what I'm about to say. But this game doesn't matter when you're evaluating a lot of things. Sure, the urgency and everything, fine. But you look at the ice conditions, you look at just a lot of things, all the distractions, it wasn't good hockey, let's face this. And most of the Winter Classics really are not that good of hockey. Honestly, some of the best Winter Classic hockey might have been or it wasn't even Winter Classic, it was an outdoor game, but the Lake Tahoe game, the third period, once nightfall came, when they did the game at like 10 p.m. local time, when it was nice and cold and the ice was curated all day and everything. But ice is terrible, and this is an excuse for the Golden Knights. It's bad for both teams. It was not good hockey for either team. But if you're going to look at this game from X's and O's and measure the stats and everything like that and try and find, here's what went wrong in this. No, it's a gimmick game with gimmick bands apparently now that matters very little as far as the evaluation process of the season goes. Now, in the grand scheme of things, what's unfortunate is the fact that the Golden Knights are now 4-6 in their last 10. Just look like they're in a rough funk right now, tied for the lead in the Pacific with the Canucks, who have 2 games in hand. Kings still have 5 games in hand and everything. So I get the concerns that people are going to have from that perspective. But what are you going to take away from this game? The Golden Knights couldn't generate speed to the neutral zone. Neither team had any moments of speed. I don't care. Passing wasn't crisp. It wasn't crisp for both teams. I don't care. There was a gash in front of the Golden Knights bench that was wiping players and refs out the entire game. Like, it's just all part of the Winter Classic. Yes, it would have been nice to see the team win and have a little more excitement coming back home, but reality's about to hit them pretty hard on Thursday when the Panthers come, when they get them on a nice glass sheet of ice that's going to be nice and quick, and it'll be a much different game. Now, if the Panthers come in and wipe out the Golden Knights 5-1, okay, then yeah, we can maybe be a little more concerned about things. But it was a fun gimmick game. That's all it was. Don't overthink the outcome of the Winter Classic, folks.
Okay, how many times has VGK been shut out though this season? Is it like 4, 5,
something like that? Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's a concern. That's a concern to me.
Sure, it's an overall concern. Absolutely, not finding a way to get at least one yesterday.
And what did I say about LT? And again, I'm trying not to knock this guy, but I said if he can't see the puck,
he's selling Cassidy right now.
If he can't see the puck, I'm not blanking on him. If he can't see the puck indoors, he surely would not see it outdoors. I gave the number I put on him was 3 goals, and that's exactly where we landed. This appeared to me in some regards, stay with me, Chris, like perhaps VGK had too much apple cider the night before, and this was a guilty game for the Golden Knights, or they just reveled a little bit, maybe.
I mean, it could have been a guilty game, whether they had cider or whatever it was. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there's a lot of things. I have no knowledge if they were, out partying up or anything like that. I mean, it's a veteran team. They blah, 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 everything that Cassidy says. But I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt that it didn't play in too much, but it could have. I mean, I don't know. The Seattle Kraken's arrival was like a half hour off. Maybe the Golden Knights were late. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they did party a little bit. And honestly, you know what? If they did, like if this, a tell-all book comes out that's not It Hurts to Win comes out, maybe a different book, and they say, yeah, we were out, worse than the USA men's national team when they were doing karaoke and during the Olympics and everything about 20, 25 years ago, whatever that was with Chris Chelios and stuff. If they had one of those nights before this game, fine. That would make a lot more sense at least. And honestly, I'd be okay with it.
Good thing for VGK, and we'll talk about this more in the next segment, is that there is some gap. There are some gaps, I should say, between games, just like Cassidy wants. We need to get practice time.
Okay, the Seattle Kraken, as Tony pointed out, played a game after the Golden Knights leading up to the Winter Classic.
I've got more rigness
the
on
Kraken
the way.
Probably just had one practice, quote unquote, where the Golden Knights had two full practices. You had one at City National on Saturday, and then on Sunday, you did have the skate, which was a practice. It wasn't a crisp practice, as Cassidy mentioned, but it was still a practice to acclimate themselves and everything. Mark Stone was the one who did bring up in the post game about, we played the most games, not an excuse. Okay, fine, sure, it's whatever. Why do they keep saying this, Tony? Is this like using the media as verbal warfare to get this point? Because the fact that Cassidy says it, now Mark Stone says it's, the two voices of the team keep on saying it over and over.
State-run media.
Yeah, this is they're working. They're doing is they're working the phones right now. They're making sure someone is going to be listening. So this time next season, maybe they don't have the most games played by January 2nd of the new year. So I mean, listen, I get it. It's a game. Everyone's trying to work it and get their advantage and everything, but it's becoming infectious in the locker room. And the Golden Knights had two practices this game. So what's the excuse now? So you're telling me that the Golden Knights, they're obviously, today's a travel day. They're not going to be on the ice today, but they should have a regular practice tomorrow.
Wait, they stayed there? They stayed up there last night?
I don't know. I'm assuming they possibly could have. I'm assuming today is probably not going to be a practice.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm assuming. I don't know yet. So if this changes, I hope I don't get blitzed by anybody here.
Right.
As of late. But point being is there will be a full practice at least on Wednesday, a pregame skate on Thursday. With all the practice time this team has had recently, I expect them to come out and blow out the Panthers on Thursday.
All right. We'll get to a lot more right after this.
We keep hearing at least, right?
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the week ahead and what's happening in the Pac Div in the Pacific Division. We'll get to all that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. It's late into the NFL season, but the offers stay hot on FanDuel right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, do it right now, especially in time for the playoffs and down the stretch and the Super Bowl, which is here in Vegas. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including point spreads, player props, over-unders, and much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off, again, this NFL postseason. FanDuel, the official partner of the National Football League. Welcome back. Locked On Golden Knights for this Tuesday edition. We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially those that gave us 169,000 plus downloads last year, which is mind-blowing that people listen and tune in to us, especially our everydayers, and the over 30,000 hours on the YouTube channel. We appreciate all of you. Thanks so much. Okay, so Chris, when the dust settles over the next few games, right, I believe that the LA Kings will be the team that is left standing. They'll be in first place, I think, in the Pacific Division. So VGK will play its next game, as you mentioned, on Thursday. They'll be taking on the Florida Panthers. So, again, more practice time. That is so important for this team. And VGK can pretty much see that lead perhaps evaporate. 38 games, currently 49 points. But, again, it evens out in the second half of the season. And when it matters most down the stretch, for VGK, they're going to get some time off, right, in between games. So Vancouver Canucks and VGK at the top of the division, each with the 49 points atop the Pacific. Vancouver has 2 games in hand. However, the Kings now just 4 points behind VGK, but have 5 fewer games played. Golden Knights coming up this week. Again, that big game with the Panthers. They now play 7 of 8 games at home. And the only game in between is going to be when they travel to Colorado. The first end of a back-to-back, for crying out loud. Okay.
Looks like a 12-game month, if I counted right, with 3 back-to-back scenarios for the Golden Knights, 2 of which are full road back-to-backs. Next week, in Colorado, and then Boston comes to Vegas.
Yeah, that's a back-to-back. Yeah. Why don't they play Colorado first there and then come back home for the Bruins?
I guess the bigger question, Tony, I'm surprised you didn't even look at this yet, but I want to know if Boston's playing the night before they play Vegas, and the answer is no, they are not.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
so there you go.
I didn't think I saw that.
So, I mean, this is where the Golden Knights better put their money where their mouths are. Most games played, not enough practice time. Okay, 12 games in a 31-day month. Was it 8 home games, 7 home games, 7 home games, 7 of the next 8 games are at home. So that's how it's going to work out. So again, this is where they better put their money where their mouths are about getting practice time and stuff like that, because that's all that we've been conditioned as, fans and media turning on these games, or in my case, sitting in these press conferences, listening to, Cassidy and listening to the players talking about this. So now is the time. And listen, if they do have a really good January because they got the practice time and all that, okay, I'll buy it. I will buy completely into it. This is where the reset button maybe needs to get pressed a little bit in a month like January. Then you got the All-Star break coming up, which basically is kind of spread out like it was for the Golden Knights leading up to the Winter Classic, with a couple days off on both sides of it and stuff. So a really big opportunity to get healthy, resets. Speaking of getting healthy, Shea Theodore is dearly missed on this team right now. I think that's one thing that people are sweeping under the rug a little too much because of all the Logan Thompson news as of late, unfortunately.
Vancouver's a team that we could see slide. You could see the Canucks slip a little bit here this upcoming month. They play the Senators at home tonight, then get this rigged schedule, Chris. The Canucks will play 7 straight road games. and okay, no, let's just complain about the number of
they're 10-6 on the road, so they're going to be just fine.
Okay, they're at the Blues. Let's see, the Devils. They play the Rangers and Islanders. I saw back to back. They play the Penguins, the Sabres, and the Columbus Blue Jackets, all on the road. So VGK this week has Florida and Toronto, Thursday and Saturday games here at home. And then next week, as you mentioned, they'll be traveling to Colorado, then home for the Bruins. LA this week, hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Red Wings at home before they go on the road. A couple of really hot teams now in the Pacific. One team that I wrote off a long time ago, the Oilers, plus the Kraken. They've each won 5.
The Oilers, you knew you were going to hear from. I don't know.
They've each won 5 straight games. So it's getting really tight there in the Pacific Division.
I mean, look at these last 10s, Tony. Vancouver 7-1-2. LA is 4-4-2, but road Warriors. Seattle 7-1-2. Edmonton 7-3. Golden Knights 4-6. So they're giving up position on the top and on the bottom right now. I mean, this Pacific Division, honestly, this is the same thing as last year, right? No one was really thinking much about the Pacific, definitely not leading up to the season. And then all of a sudden, 4 teams have 100 points. I mean, I don't think 5 teams are going to get 100 points. That would be pretty remarkable and very hard to do, considering they cannibalize each other throughout the season because they play so many more games versus outside the division and whatnot. But I don't know. I mean, this is a concern for the Golden Knights. And this is where it was a concern. January is where things really took a rough turn. They had that losing streak leading into the All-Star break. The New York trip just crushed them then. So we've seen this before, and I know I've been the voice of reason trying to say, guys, we've seen this before. Relax. Everything's going to be okay. But, there is a little concern from me right now watching this and seeing what's happening. And you would like to hope the team has a very good run in them, post All-Star break and hopefully starting in January. But the fact of the matter is, relying on that is tough. Now, other argument, the Golden Knights started really hot, so they do have the ability to do one of those runs, but what if they don't? And then maybe a segment for tomorrow is get the napkin outs. What if things continue to slide? What happens? Is this when all of a sudden players like Marchessault and Stevenson who have these expiring contracts, like why haven't they been extended yet, Tony? Why have they not been extended yet? Could something crazy happen very soon with one of those two players if things don't get better?
Of course, this narrative about playing the most games notwithstanding, this team is just too erratic right now. They really are. They'll win in a blowout. They'll score a lot of goals, and they'll come back.
The Kings game. They were great in the Kings game. They were great.
Yeah, and maybe again they'll turn things around at home. All this leading up to the February 4th NHL All-Star game, which is a big barometer for the VGK.
Toronto this year? Where's the All-Star? Is it Toronto?
Florida, I believe. I think it's Florida.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's in Florida. Okay, tomorrow, of course, we'll talk more about VGK.
I think we just planned part of our show tomorrow.
I think maybe we'll talk about will things continue to slide for the VGK here, and what will they do if that happens? So put that on the graphic, and we can start the show right now after this one. Thank everyone for tuning in, especially the everydayers. Thanks so much for making us your first listen each and every day. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel Locked On Golden Knights from my man, Chris Golick. I'm Tony Cardasco reporting from Las Vegas. You like that? It's official. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Take care.